Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Just a couple of pieces of quick housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them right into the question box. I will call them out and get them answered for you. Also, of course, you know we always record our webinars, so if you want to view this webinar later or any other webinar you may have missed in the past, just go to our website, which is innovia.com. We have all our past webinars recordings up there. Now, we are really excited about this presentation today. We are going to be talking to Mitch from Equisys about Zetadocs, and I know there's some new stuff to hear about, and we're all really excited. So Mitch, I'm going to hand it straight over to you.
Thank you, Abby. And I wanted to thank everyone for joining us this morning on today's webinar, Document Management for Dynamics NAV with Zetadocs. What I put together today is a session that's going to introduce you to a software solution that can help automate repetitive finance tasks involved with the processing of both purchase and sales-related documentation. We're going to demonstrate how Zetadocs can help organizations save costs, increase efficiencies, and help companies enhance the level of service they offer their customers and vendors. As Abby mentioned, my name is Mitch Brown. I've been working for Equisys for over 15 years and recently have taken on the role of heading up the sales team. Just to give you a little bit of history about Equisys, the company's been in business for approaching 30 years, and since the company's inception, we have been developing document management and delivery solutions. And I want to say about 10 or 11 years ago, we were approached by a lot of NAV partners and customers, Innovia, as one example, looking for a way to streamline the delivery of reports out of NAV. And at the time, they were looking to be able to fax those documents out. So we came out with a delivery solution that was based on our ZetaFax product. And over time, we've worked with partners and customers to develop the solution into a complete document management and delivery offering. Now, we currently have over 900 implementations of our full Zetadocs, or I should say our advanced Zetadocs offerings, and that's our Capture Essentials, Capture Plus, Delivery Essentials, and Delivery Plus, and I'll get onto those or describe those a little bit more in more detail in a few moments. But as many of you are aware, about 8 years ago, we entered into a partnership with Microsoft to offer a light version of our software called Zetadocs Express that's available to customers that are running NAV 2009 and later systems. Now, we do have a corporate goal to make sure that our product line, the full suite, is certified on the latest platforms of Dynamics. We have had our solution certified on NAV 2009, 2013, 2015, and about a month ago, we announced that the product has been certified on NAV 2016 as well. Now, that's kind of an overview of Equisys and the Zetadocs product. Now I've put together an agenda, quick, what we'll be covering in today's presentation. So I wanted to start off with discussing some of the common problems that we hear from organizations when they're filing supporting documents, printing off paper and storing it in a file cabinet somewhere in the office, and how Zetadocs can help streamline that whole process. From there, we're actually going to go in and see a demo of the product before finishing up with some summary items and next steps. Now, I typically like to start off presentations with this slide, kind of a question of the day. And as I'm going through the presentation, I want you to think about the various areas within your organization and think, is paper on top of your finance team, for example, or is your finance team on top of paper? When organizations initially reach out to Equisys, it's often because they're facing challenges like the picture in the bottom left-hand side of this screen. In fact, a couple months ago, I was presenting at a Navision user group chapter meeting, and several of the participants showed me pictures after my presentation of storage rooms in their office that were filled with nothing but paper files, such as customer POs, vendor invoices, certificates. And one person estimates that the amount they spend in office space for those files is probably about $35,000 a year in rent. And that's a figure that just keeps growing because they need more and more space, every month to store the amount of paper that they're generating. Now, as we all know, the documentation that I mentioned, customer POs, vendor invoices, rental agreements, all of that information needs to be stored. And the process of manually filing those documents means that someone typically is spending hours and hours each day manually going through and filing that documentation, hopefully in a way that can be retrieved at a later time. Now, the times and costs are probably the most common thing we hear from customers when they reach out to us, but there are also a lot of other challenges that paper filing systems cause. Now, with a paper-based filing system, what that means is there's going to be delay in when that information is available. So as your sales or customer service teams, if they have a customer call in with a question or a vendor call in with a question, typically that means they have to put that customer vendor on hold, reach out to the finance team, or call that person back while someone finds the supporting documentation they need. Paper-based systems can also cause delays in the approval process because that paper file needs to be routed through the office. And if at some point it gets put on someone's desk who maybe is out of the office for a couple days, then no one has visibility not only to that document, but where that document is in the approval process. Now, that's just something that gets misfiled for a couple days or lost for a couple days until that person gets back. There's also the challenge of documents being misfiled or lost completely. The other day I actually had to go back and find a file from our system before we started using Zetadocs, and I thought it'd be interesting to time myself and how long it would take to retrieve that paper file. And it had been misplaced, and overall it took us 25 minutes to actually find that single document so that we could respond to a question. Paper-based systems are also prone to a complete loss of information. If perhaps there's a disaster such as a fire or flood, that can mean that all supporting documentation is gone forever with a paper-based system. So how can Zetadocs help with the issues that we just discussed? Zetadocs helps organizations reduce the amount of paper they store, retrieve, and send. It ensures the right people have access to the right documents at the right time. Therefore, Zetadocs is often used by companies to improve document-intensive processes within their ERP system, such as the ones listed on screen. Zetadocs helps organizations increase efficiencies and reduce costs by dramatically reducing the time it takes to send items like invoices, statements, for example, and also the time it takes to retrieve supporting information, because everything is going to be available on screen. So if someone has the appropriate rights within the system, within the customer service or sales team, when a customer calls in, perhaps asking if an invoice has been sent out, that person can pull the invoice up within NAV and see all the information that they need right there on screen. This can also help out with the approval process because all supporting documentation is going to be stored against the relevant transaction within NAV. So as we're going through, think about the efficiency gains that your organization could see if all supporting documentation was available on screen, and also if you had the ability to send all of your invoices, statements out electronically in a matter of minutes. Now, within the Zetadocs suite of products, we have a variety of offerings. Each one is kind of designed, can be mixed and matched based on your organization's specific needs. As I mentioned, we entered into a partnership with Microsoft to offer a light version of our software. It's called Zetadocs Express, and it has some document management capabilities for being able to send off an order confirmation, for example, one at a time, and have that automatically archived. Where I see it used most often, though, is being able to capture information. Zetadocs Express has the ability to take an email, for example, and archive it against a sales order using what we call drag and drop technology. So you can simply take that email, drag it onto the sales order, and have it archive against that transaction. Now, as I mentioned, Express is really designed for light users. For customers that have more robust document management needs, we have our Essentials and Plus editions. Delivery Essentials, for example, is going to build on the simple save and send, where you can send one order confirmation at a time. With Delivery Essentials, we can batch deliver and send a bunch of emails. So let's say all the invoices that were posted on a certain date, those can go out with Delivery Essentials, and when they go out, they're going to go out based on a robust set of rules. So you can set it up so that your customers receive those invoices in the manner they want, and with a personalized covering email and the ability to attach things like terms and conditions that you want to go out with every single invoice. On the Capture side, we have Zetadocs Capture Plus, which can take the process of archiving paper documents that arrive and streamline getting those into the system. We can utilize unique identifiers such as barcodes so that when a vendor invoice arrives, for example, that document can be scanned and automatically linked to the relevant invoice within NAV based on that barcode. Now, with Zetadocs, we also offer a payables approval solution, which enables you to take the purchase approval process and put it on screen. It's designed to work with one of our Capture offerings and enables both NAV users and non-NAV users to approve a purchase order or purchase invoice. And by having the approval process within our web-based solution, you can easily track where a particular invoice is in the approval process. We also, and this is actually kind of a preview, we're actually going to be coming out with later this year also a new expense offering. This is going to be a web-based offering as well, and it's going to enable, let's say, remote salespeople to be able to put together their expense reports using their phone, a tablet, or a web browser, be able to capture that information, submit that as a claim to their manager or whoever the appropriate approver would be, so that they can approve that, route it to the finance team. They can make sure everything's coded before that expense would be automatically imported into Dynamics NAV. It's something that we're very excited about, and it will be available this fall. Now that you have a kind of an overview of the various versions that are available, now I just wanted to go through and show you kind of a diagram as to how Zetadocs works. Zetadocs allows organizations to capture information, whether it's arriving by email, fax, or paper documents that are scanned. We provide users with a way to take that information and archive it to a central archive, and when we do that, we tag it with certain metadata fields from NAV such as a sales order number, so that we can link it to the appropriate transaction within the NAV system. All documents will then be available to both Zetadocs Express users as well as the more advanced Zetadocs users. So with our solution, you can have a hybrid deployment where you offer Zetadocs Express functionality to your light users, and then your more advanced users can go with one of the Essentials or Plus editions. One thing I do like to highlight with this diagram is the fact that by archiving everything to a separate document archive, over the years as the amount of files you store increases, it's never going to have an impact on the performance of your NAV system. But as you'll see in a few moments, for your NAV users, everything will look like the files were actually stored within the database itself. Now, before I go into the demonstration, I just want to highlight some typical scenarios where we see Zetadocs deployed. Now, I have seen Zetadocs deployed in a variety of areas, but most commonly we see sales and purchasing, so I wanted to highlight some of those. In a few moments, you'll see I'm going to demonstrate how Zetadocs can be used to streamline the sending of invoices, allowing you to send out a batch of invoices at one time. I'm not going to cover this today, but if you have proof of delivery documents such as PIC tickets or proof of delivery documents that are going to be signed, paper files that are coming back, we do have an offering where you can scan and automatically link those to the relevant record based on a unique barcode. Supplier invoice processing, I will touch on that. That's a way to take vendor invoices and attach them to the relevant record within NAV. And then also I'm going to touch base on a new manner in which we've seen Zetadocs deployed, and that's to assist the collections management process. So being able to, let's say, send out statements or reminder letters and to automatically attach copies of previously sent invoices. Now with that, I'm actually going to go into my demo environment. And let me just expand this. Now for today's demonstration, I am using NAV 2016 and SharePoint as the document repository. I should mention that Zetadocs does support NAV 4.0 databases as long as you're using 2009 executables and onward. And in addition to SharePoint, we also have a network folder archive option available as well. So within NAV 2016, I'm in the Role Center, and what I wanted to start off with is going into a sales order, or go to the sales order list page. Now on the sales order list page, if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that we've added, or what Zetadocs has added is a document window. And this will display any documents that have been associated to a particular sales order, in this case in the system. Now this is a new feature in the latest release of the software that you can add this window to list pages. A lot of our customers had requested that we add this functionality so they didn't have to drill down into orders themselves. Now as you can see, as I go from one order to another, the window will update to reflect the documents or files that have been associated, in this case, with sales order 1007. But I'm going to go into the order that we have for Selangorian. And you can see we have an order here for 10 wheel spokes that has been keyed into the system. Now, this is actually based on an email that April received requesting those, and we've got a purchase order that's been attached to this email. And just so you know, this is the drag and drop feature that is available in the no-cost Zetadocs Express offering that I'm showing right now.
Mitch, we do have a quick question.
Okay.
Is the document window available to list pages in NAV 2015?
Yes, it is available for NAV 2015 as well.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome. So now if, let's say, April and the finance team wants to archive the email that she received from Terry, all she would need to do is simply take this and drag and drop that file. What's happening behind the scenes is the system is taking this email, archiving it, in my case, out to a SharePoint site, and tagging it with fields from NAV, such as the sales order number, so that we know this particular email relates to this record within NAV. Now, all documents that you've archived are going to follow a transaction. So when this sales order gets posted and becomes a posted sales invoice, all documentation that was attached to the sales order will be visible on the posted sales invoice. If you use the process of creating a shipment and then an invoice, we follow that process as well. So you can make sure that if a customer calls in with a question, all you'll need to do is pull up the relevant posted sales invoice or posted purchase order, and you'll see the entire history of documents that have been attached to that record. Now, with the drag and drop feature, we support pretty much any file type. We've had instances, people have dragged and dropped PDFs, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets. We've also had people that have taken a WAV file from their voicemail system and dragged that and archived that as well. So any file type can be stored. And this window with Zetadocs Express, you can add it to the various pages within the sales and purchasing area, as well as the customer or vendor card. With the more advanced versions, you can actually add this window to other areas within NAV, such as the item card or journal entries. Now, for those customers that are running NAV 2015 and 2016, I did want to highlight the fact that we also support the web, tablet, and phone client. And when you drag and drop a file to the normal Windows client, it's going to be visible to everyone no matter what client they're connecting to or what client they're using. So if I go into sales order 1012 for Selangorian, you'll see when it pulls that up, the email that we just dragged and dropped is going to be visible within the document window over on the right-hand side of your screen. Obviously, it has a slightly different look and feel to it because we're in the web client, but all information is going to be available and updated in real time. Now, another new feature that we've added with the most recent version of Zetadocs is the ability for not only in the window client, but the web client as well, people to send out order confirmations, invoices, statements. You can do everything from both the web client as well as the Windows client, and even the phone and tablet clients as well. Within the web client, if I wanted to send out this order confirmation, all I need to do is click on this send button that you'll see in the ribbon. And we're just going to send out this one order confirmation. And the system's going to automatically select who this is going to. And this is actually a feature that's included in our Delivery Essentials version, so one of the more advanced offerings. Here you can see, based on rules that we already have set up, we're going to be sending this order confirmation to April Green, and I'm going to go ahead and send that out. Now, behind the scenes, what's happening is the system's going to email the order confirmation to April, and it's automatically going to store a copy within the Zetadocs archive. So it's not something that someone needs to remember to do. The system will automatically do that for you.
We do have another question here, Mitch. We have two questions, actually. First of all, does the web client support drag and drop?
The web client does not support drag and drop at this time. It's something that we're looking at for a fall release. The way the web client works is within the document dropdown, we have an add option where you can actually click on the add button and then browse out and choose the file that you would like to upload.
Okay, and another question somewhat related to that, can you send order confirmations to multiple recipients?
Yes, you can send order confirmations, really any NAV report to multiple recipients. We do have a limit of 5. So you can actually go into the customer card or vendor card, as the case may be, and when you're setting up your customer rules, for example, you can have a primary recipient to receive order confirmations and invoices, and then you can add additional recipients as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Now, just so you can see what the email looks like that we just sent out, let me just open this up so you can see in a full view. This is the order confirmation that I just sent out. As you can see, we've got a template that's been applied where we've personalized the body of the email. So we're saying, Dear April, I'm pleased to attach your, in this case, order confirmation, and we've included the order number. We've attached the sales order PDF as well as terms and conditions of sale. So you can set a standard order confirmation template up to ensure that whenever someone's sending out, let's say, a sales order, terms and conditions are automatically attached. It's not something that someone needs to remember to do. So there's always going to be that consistent look and feel to all reports that are being sent out, whether it be order confirmations, purchase orders, statements, invoices, and obviously the templates can be changed based on the report type that you're sending. So now that's actually showing you sending one at a time, where most of our customers see the real benefit is sending a batch of documents. And to highlight that, I'm going to go in and just show you how we can send a batch of sales invoices. So here we are on the posted sales invoice page. Now with Delivery Essentials, users would need to click on the send button and specify the range that they want to go out. With the most recent version of Zetadocs, we've also added the ability to, with Delivery Plus, to set it up so this can programmatically happen as part of a job that happens in the middle of the night. So you could specify that you want all invoices to go out at midnight each evening. So it'd be a process that would just be a job that would be kicked off every evening, and that's something that's available with our Delivery Plus solution. But just so we don't have to wait on a timer, I'm going to go ahead and specify a range of documents that we want to send. Now, another new feature that we've added with Zetadocs 8, and this was based on feedback we got from our customers, with prior versions, when you were sending out invoices, each customer would receive an email for each individual invoice that was sent. A lot of customers, though, wanted the ability to be able to, let's say if you're sending 10 invoices to the Canon Group, be able to consolidate those into a single email. So we've added a consolidate email option where you can select that, or you can have it selected by default. And now when I'm sending these invoices out, if there are multiple invoices for a particular customer, they are going to be consolidated into a single email. You do have the option, though, of specifying how many invoices will be included in one email, just to make sure that your customer systems don't start rejecting them if you're sending 50 invoices, for example. Now, just so you can see what a consolidated email looks like, I actually sent one of those earlier today. And here you can see we've got several invoices that were just sent out, and we list the invoice numbers. They're also listed in the subject line. If you had 10 invoices, after the third invoice, it would just go ... to indicate that there were more invoices included in this email. Each invoice has been attached as a separate PDF, and then we also have the terms and conditions as part of this outbound message. So, based on the feedback, this was one of probably the #1 requests that we had on the delivery side. It is something that we've incorporated into the latest offering. Now, with Delivery Plus, there is some additional capability that I wanted to highlight. And this is, as I mentioned, part of the collections management process. And the way my system is set up is utilizing the issued reminders capability within NAV, but the process would also work with statements as well. Oftentimes when you're sending out statements or reminder letters, based on feedback that I've had, when your finance team sends out a statement, for example, the first call they get is from a customer saying, can you send me the relevant invoices that go along with this statement? Well, Zetadocs with Delivery Plus, we can configure it so that when sending out your statements or reminder letters, that the system's automatically going to attach the relevant invoices that have been previously sent. To highlight that, I'm actually going to go into my sent items, and I've got some reminders that I sent out previously. First one, actually, let's go in and look at this one. We have a reminder that we're sending to Michael, and the verbiage that's included in the reminder is just saying there's some past due invoices. Please see the attached reminder for a list of them. When I open up the reminder, once again, we're using our template capability. We've overlaid stationery to indicate that this is overdue. And then we've also automatically attached a copy of the sales invoice that pertains to that reminder letter. Well, within NAV and reminders, there's also a reminder level. So as things get more and more past due, the level will change. So we can also specify different templates based on that reminder level, so that in this case, this is going to be a reminder level 2. So we changed the template to indicate that this is the final reminder. If you open up the reminder itself, once again, we've modified it to say that this is the final demand. More importantly, though, we have a copy of each invoice that's been attached to that reminder letter that's going out. And as I mentioned, this is something that can also apply with statements as well. So that's kind of an overview on the advanced delivery capabilities. Now I just want to quickly go into the purchasing side to show you some of the advanced capabilities that are available with Zetadocs Capture, Essentials, and Plus. And to do that, I'm actually going to go into a purchase invoice. Now, I've opened up a purchase invoice that's been keyed into the system. We've previously attached a document, or the packing slip, that was actually scanned by the warehouse. Now, with Zetadocs Capture Plus, in speaking with customers, what we found, a lot of times vendor invoices are still arriving through the mail. And there's not an easy way of getting those documents into the system. The way Zetadocs can streamline that process is when you have a paper invoice that's arrived, And I've got some pictures that I've taken. So you've got a paper invoice that's come in. Locate the relevant record within NAV, and then in the ribbon you can see we've added a print barcode button. And the way our customers have deployed this solution is that users that are processing the vendor invoices, they'd have a small footprint label printer attached to their workstation. When they print that label out, they would then take it, place it on the first page of the vendor invoice, and then take that invoice and put it in an outbox. Move on, go and process the next one until they've processed all the invoices that arrived that day, and then take that stack of documents over to a network scanner and scan them into the system. What Zetadocs will then do is we're actually, as you know, with most scanners, what they will do is they're actually going to create a single PDF. Zetadocs will go through and it's going to split that document into individual files based on that barcode that we put on the first page. So here you can see I've got several queues, and I have one set up for our purchase invoices. And this displays documents that I scanned in earlier today. You can see we've got the purchase invoice 1010. And once again, with the newest version of NAV for customers running NAV 2015 and 2016, this process can automatically happen behind the scenes. For customers running earlier versions, I would just click on the Archive All Linked Items. The system's going to go ahead now and take these scanned documents and link them to the relevant transaction within NAV. And looks like I've got a slow internet connection, so it's just going to take a moment. Now, once these have been successfully stored to the Zetadocs repository, they will then be visible to anyone that's accessing the system, whether it be from the web client, phone client, or Windows client itself. And a nice feature that I forgot to mention earlier about having all of these documents available on screen electronically is that typically for the finance team, working remotely has been a challenge because they don't have access to the documentation they need because it's stored in a file room somewhere in the office. With Zetadocs, those users can work remotely because all of that information is going to be available on screen. So the documents that we just scanned, now if someone needs to access that invoice, all they need to do is pull up the purchase invoice within NAV and click on that, and they can actually see a copy of the file that we just scanned into the system. So if they were doing a three-way match, or if a vendor called in with a question, they have access to all of the supporting information they need on screen. So that's what I wanted to touch on today, just to give you a high-level overview. If I strongly recommend, if there are specific requirements that you have, to reach out to Innovia, and we can schedule a call to review your requirements and then put together a demonstration that will highlight how Zetadocs can meet your specific needs.
Great, Mitch. We do have a few more questions here at the end. Our first one is, what scanners does Zetadocs support?
Zetadocs supports pretty much any scanner that can scan to a shared network folder. So as long as you have the ability to go up to the scanner and point to a folder, then that scanner is typically going to be supported.
Okay. Our next question, what email address is being used during the delivery process?
The email address, and that goes, is actually one that is set up on the customer or vendor card, depending on the report that you're sending out. So the system has the ability where you would say, At a system-wide level, I want all of our sales invoices to go to the bill to contact within NAV, or the main contact on the customer card. The system then has the ability, or offers, where users can go into the customer card, let's say for the Canon Group, and create specific rules for how the Canon Group wants to receive their invoices or statements. So there's a robust set of rules that can be determined, at a system-wide level, but you can actually even go down to at a report level for a customer.
Okay. Our next question, is the scan and OCR done remotely over the internet or locally?
The scanning, you would actually, with Zetadocs, you would scan locally, so you would scan from your local scanner. Now, depending on how NAV is set up, if you're running it locally or in the cloud, that's going to determine what would happen next. But you would scan it into a document queue that Zetadocs monitors. Zetadocs will then OCR the document to find that barcode that's going to tell the system what transaction that scanned document needs to be attached to.
All right. And our final question, does Zetadocs support archiving files to journal entries?
Yes, it does. So you can actually, and this is not available in Express, it's in the Capture Essentials and Plus editions, you can store documents against journal entries, and when that journal entry gets posted, it'll appear on the general ledger. So you'll have access to that information, and that's something that our pre-sales team has actually set up in our 2016 demo environment. So if you'd like to see that at a later time, I'm happy to show that to you.
Wonderful. Those are all of the questions that we have right now, Mitch. I'll give people just a few more seconds to type in any questions they have here at the end. During that time, I do want to remind everybody, we recorded this session, so if you want to review it, if you want to show it to other people in your organization, you can go to our website, which is innovia.com, and this recording will be up there by later on this afternoon, certainly by the end of the day. So it does look like those are our last questions, Mitch. So great presentation. I know we had a lot of attendees, a lot of participation, so we want to thank you for that.
And thank you for the opportunity, Abby.
All right, everyone. Thanks for attending, and we'll see you at our next webinar.